Hi, I'm Cindy.
Hi, I'm Jenny.
Together, we are the Brave Girls. Being brave is having the courage to share our stories with one another.
Being vulnerable is brave. Choosing positivity is brave. Showing up for ourselves is brave.
Let's be brave together.
Possibly be inconspicuous.
Welcome, everyone, to our second podcast. It's the Brave Girls podcast, and we have a special guest this time. We're so excited to invite our friend Kat. She's going to pronounce her name for us. And we want to talk about how we know Kat before we hear all about this wonderful woman. Welcome to the podcast, Kat.
Thank you for having me, and only episode 2. Kat Stefankiewicz. I know it looks worse than it is, but
What did they call you growing up? Steffi?
actually, it's so funny because a lot of my teachers, when I first got to know them, would call me Stephanie, and then nobody would answer, and I'm like, oh, does she mean me? So yes.
And you stuck with it because you recently got married, and you said, no, I'm sticking with this one.
At this point, yes. I think depending on your age that you do get married, Stefankiewicz just feels so very much me. I think also like culturally, like I'm Polish. It was my first language, and it just feels really right now. So I mean, you go with the flow in life. Things could change, but for now, it's Stefankiewicz. Yes.
We're so happy to have you. We want to quickly say how we know Kat. She's a friend of ours. And before we ask you to just briefly tell us about your background, but Cindy and I know Kat because she is our spin instructor. Cindy, tell us your story of finding out about Kat and first meeting her.
Yes, so hi. I first met Kat doing spin, and she was one of the first instructors that I had. Like, it was my second week. I remember walking in and I was like terrified of everything spin wise. And Kat had such a calm, cool energy. And I'm like, okay, I like this girl. I felt connected to her right away. She was just so cool. But yeah, she was my spin instructor and just loved her so much. I still love you. I miss
I
you.
still love you too. I felt that connection with both of you. That's the really neat thing. Spin, for example, brings us together, but you do connect with people in those communities and take it outside of the doors too. So yeah, I think I said to you, Jenny, that I felt that connection right away as well. Even if we didn't talk much off the top, you're just like, okay, I get you, you get me,
It's so true.
observation.
Yeah, exactly. And I always get a sense for in a room or if people are my people. And I felt like you were my people. I know Jenny's my people. You always get a sense for who's is and maybe who isn't, that kind of thing. But yeah, I felt connected to you right away. So I love it. Yay. That's how I know you.
As well as Kat and I have very similar birthdays. So our astrology is similar. So there's that.
Oh,
And I
okay.
also love what you said, Cindy, about feeling nervous about spin. And that kind of like makes me think we should do a podcast on that because I think there's so much anxiety about spin. Like, I can't do that. I'm too old. I'm not in good enough shape or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think, like, well, how do you even do spin? Like, I think we could totally do a walkthrough. Anyways, I digress, but that would be
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely an intimidating experience, right? When you come into a rhythm ride specifically, but every week the layers continue to build and all comes together eventually. Yeah, you just got to stick to it.
It is a very scary thing, actually. Yeah,
So
I was terrified.
tell us about you now. Like, you are the microphone gal. Take it away. Tell us your background. How did you get everything?
Yeah, I often say I wear many hats. And once I kind of accepted that you can do more than one thing and be more than one thing in the world, everything kind of fell into place. So yeah, I have a music theater background. So I started professionally as a dancer and then evolved into broadcast and hosting and emceeing. Which led me to work primarily in sports and entertainment. I spent over 10 seasons with the NBA and the Toronto Raptors. And now since moving to Vancouver almost 3 years ago, which is wild, I work with the Vancouver Canucks and that organization. the CBL, which is Canadian Elite Basketball League, and so on and so on. So yeah, that's kind of been my focus. Aside from that, I also am a fitness instructor, both spin and strength coach. And yeah, this is the problem when you wear many hats. I'm like, what did I forget? But yeah, no, that's pretty much, where I lean into in my days.
I love that.
I've been to a game with you, and it's so weird. It's like, I know her.
Oh yeah.
You're so great. You're so
Thank you.
You're like, I love it. You've
Well,
got a total persona.
Thank you.
Kat has a calm energy. Like what I said, like when I first met her, that was the very first like sensation that I got from you. It was just calm, even though it's a very like crazy environment, like sound wise and all the things going on. But she was just so cool. Like just
well, and that just triggered so much because it is quite a wild environment, and to be able to pull into that, like the calmness and the grounding really allows me to do what I do and be able to be like in the middle of that energy, because I'm really quite an introverted person and I need my quiet time. I actually get a lot of energy from quiet time. So it's been interesting to kind of work through that in life, especially over the last few years.
Yeah. I can only imagine, because when you're in that environment, it is so energetic and it's hard to kind of refocus after. I'm like that too. I need my time alone to just sort of like pull away and get some more energy back. But yeah, that's the one thing I remember about Kat as an instructor, was always having that one song kind of midway through the end that was just like so calm. She'd always come out with us. I just loved it so much. But that was
my first spin instructor ever. You were my first.
Was she?
Yeah. And then the other thing speaking of energy and feeling it, like I'm the one that always has to wear like I'm such a highly sensitive person that even though it's so loud and the lights and everything, like I still love it, but it's difficult for a highly sensitive person sometimes to be in that class. Yeah. I'm sure you've heard
Absolutely.
The only one.
No.
Yeah. And Jenny, I do want to congratulate you. I think I saw that you just hit 250 rides.
275. So, yeah. Thank you very much.
That's wonderful.
So good.
Great.
Yeah,
I'm so wild.
I'm addicted now. So I love it. And we love you. And we are so excited to have you here. So now we've met each other and we know each other's backgrounds and all that jazz within 5 minutes. But this podcast is all about the solar return chart. So a lot of people don't know what that is, right? First of all, there's a birth chart for astrology. That's your blueprint, the moment you were born. And I have read for both of you, and we're going to discuss that later, how that felt. Did it resonate? Did it feel weird? All that stuff. I'll ask you those questions. But there's different kinds of astrology charts that you can read. And this is a different kind. It's called a solar return chart. And what it is, it's the very moment that your sun returns to where it was the moment you were born. So we revolve around the sun. The sun in our birth chart is our soul. And there's no surprise that everybody knows their zodiac sign. It's even like a cheesy pickup line in the bar, right? Everybody knows their sun sign.
The only thing I know.
Everybody knows it, but you don't. There's so much more to a birth chart. As you both know, I've read your charts, the rising, the moon, all of the transits, everything it's very in depth. But the solar return chart is the moment your sun is the exact same, the moment you were born. So what you want to do is you want to look at it every single year. And it's like your rebirth chart. So it's like, it shows you how the year is going to go really. And what's the theme? Where is that sun when you were born all those years ago? Where is it now in your birth chart? So what is going to show up for you? It's stuff like that. And the other main thing that the solar return chart does is it gives you a 1 hour of manifestation. It's the magic manifestation hour. And I'm so excited to share it with you and all of our listeners. And I will give you a step-by-step for the listeners if you're interested in finding out what yours is, because you can find all this out online for free, right? But here I am sharing this great news with you, Kat, and I have printed off your.
You're lucky, Kat, because yours is coming up. I'm so excited for you. I can't have.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my part of mine. Was that like, when is my magical moment? I need to remember this. Where do I write it down? I had like alarms set. I was so excited.
Yeah, because she just had her solar return, aka her birthday. So I did this reading for her. And you're about to have your birthday. And we have very similar birthdays. So I'm definitely doing the same. I've been doing this for years now. So you do
Yep.
this solar return chart and you'll see I've given you a copycat. So copycat. So right here where the red print is, it tells you the exact hour that you need to take an hour away out of your day, even if it's really late at night or early in the morning. This is the magic manifestation hour, and I will read it for you, Kat. It is on March 20th. So your birthday is the 21st, but it's the same for everybody when you do a solar return chart. It's either the day before, the day of, or the day after your actual birthday. So for you this year, Kat, it is March 20th, and it is exactly at 9:24 p.m. So what I recommend is between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. That hour, that's your magical manifestation hour on March 20th. Okay. So what does that all mean?
Oh, I'm so excited for her.
I'm so excited.
I'm glad it's in the evening because then I can definitely set aside that time.
Right?
I'm glad it's actually quite perfect.
Mine was, what was it, 7 in the morning? So I'm like, oh my God, I have to be
set your alarm.
I had to set my alarm. Yeah.
That's
This
funny.
is the thing. Okay, I'm just giving you a worst case scenario. So you've gone your whole life not knowing about a solar return, right? Like most of us did. And I learned it like whatever it was 5 years ago. And so many people don't know about this magical manifestation hour. So I'm just putting it out there. Like you're in traffic. This is your solar return hour. You're in traffic, honk, honk, all the mean words. You're raging. Well, I hate to say it, but that energy that you were carrying in that hour is the energy you're going to bring forward for the full year.
It's crazy.
So make it happen.
Yeah.
Make it work, right?
Yeah.
And so
I just got a little bit of a tension in my chest hearing that. That's so funny. Like literally. Yeah.
Not to give any anxiety or anything.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
Calm yourself, like make it calm, put the candles on, get the tea. Like, I don't know what you need to do. Put the
or if
on.
you want wild, go wild. If you want that.
If you want wild, yeah. If that's what you want, go wild. Get into a zone. Get into a zone for that hour, and it's exact for you at 9:24 p.m. on March 20th. And so that's your magic man. You can do whatever you want with it. And there's lots of stories online if you wanted to Google this or watch it on YouTube, people sharing their manifestation hour at their solar return, and so many stories of like, oh, I knew it was my hour and I did this, that, and the next. And wouldn't you know it, the whole year I had this, that, and the next. Like,
wow.
Actually comes true, right? So
I very much believe in all of everything you're speaking of. So
it's so powerful because Jenny just did mine and it's already basically coming true. Like the things that I put into the universe on my magic hour, even though I was half awake, I still did it. They're already, I can feel it manifesting. It's crazy. Wow. It's crazy.
Exciting too. I said, Jenny, when you said we were going to connect and I said yes to this, I was excited but nervous at the same time. I think like internally, anything we talk about, it's almost like a knowing already, but it's just like to put it out there. It can be a little bit like spin intimidating, right?
It does, and it can feel so intimate. Like I know that's how it felt to me. Like when Jenny was doing mine, we were at where were we at? Indigo's books, and I'm like, if I cry, like people are gonna see me cry. But it feels so intimate because she knows things about you, and you're thinking, how does she know this about you? It's very intimate. But
well, it's written in the stars, ladies. Okay. Okay,
it still blows my
number one. That's number one, is that magical manifestation hour. And so this is for listeners as well. Like you'll see it's written in red up here. Okay, that's when the hour is, the exact minute, but do the half hour before, half hour after. So that's number one rule of a solar return chart, right? Okay, so that's number one. The second thing about a solar return chart, it is your rebirth. It is how your year is going to go, right? And so you look at the rising first. The first thing you do is you look at the rising, and the rising is the first house. So the first house. So in your actual natal birth chart, Kat, you are a Virgo rising, but for this year, this particular year of your life, you're a Libra rising. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I ask something then?
What's that?
If may I ask a question then? So if I look at YouTube for readings, read all the things about astrology. So for my year ahead, should I be looking at Libra rising as opposed to Virgo rising?
Do both. I do both.
Both. Okay.
I do both
Okay.
every year. And usually I have a different rising every year. You happen to have a Libra rising this year, and the South Node is in Libra. We talked about the nodes. I've talked about it on our first podcast. I'll talk about it anytime I ever talk about astrology, is the nodes. If you forget everything I ever say about astrology, go toward your nodes. You're going toward your North Node in life. It's your North Star. That's a good way of remembering. The North is where you're supposed to go. So we'll get into that in a minute about how you have so much going on over here.
You're,
Yeah, I can see
you got
that.
a crazy amount of stuff going on
There's
your little
so
node.
much. This is
Yeah.
where
Meaning.
this is where the world is asking you to go, you know.
Mm.
But okay, first thing of a solar return chart is find out the magical manifestation hour. Second thing to find out is what's your rising, because that's going to be the flavor, your personality. That's going to be how you show up. So Libra, let's talk about Libra. First and foremost, balance. Stay balanced, Kat.
Isn't Libra my opposite as an Aries? Is
Right.
it right? Is it right across the street? Yeah. Okay.
Right across the street. And so that's something, that's what an evolutional astrologer will tell you. Whatever your sun sign is, and you're Aries, so am I. So whatever your sun sign is in life, if you're feeling off, if you're not feeling like the fabulous Aries that you are, you go to the opposite sign, which is Libra, and you need to get balanced as a Aries. And Aries people can often get unbalanced, can't we? Like I'm a
Yes,
very strong
very much
Aries
so.
person. So are you. I can very much get off balance. So this whole year, you're being encouraged to stay balanced. So whatever that means for you, I don't know. It could be anything. Like with balance, sleep, like eating properly, enough water, spending time with people, not, or, like, because maybe you don't want to spend, maybe you haven't been the type that wants to go out with people. This year, you're being asked to balance that. You know what I mean? Like this year, you're being asked to balance all the things. So, yeah. So there's that. Also, it's ruled by Venus. So that's all about like love and positivity and, friendships, social. Libra is very social, and it's female friendships. So you might be called this year to get balanced with female friends, to get balanced within your own heart. And you've done that.
It's funny you say that. Yeah, because I already feel that aligning. Just more women coming into my life, where I used to have a lot of male friends, just naturally. And yeah, but I feel them all coming, and ones that I can really relate to, like with the two of you, like you just have this instant understanding about how you are as an energy and a personality. So it's been really wonderful to welcome it. I was like, oh, there you are finally.
I don't need the same way. It like she's taught me so much about myself. It's just like things that I already knew, but now it's like on paper in the stars, and it's like, oh my God, I'm a magical being. I love this.
I love that. I love that you said that, because you don't need astrology, which everybody knows this. You don't need astrology. But like when you have a chart like this, it's just kind of fun to be like, yeah, I already felt that building, and that's good validation. Thank you, universe. Like for me, that's how I read it. And it's like, that's something that's been, lacking in my life recently. And that's something I really could work on. Thank you, universe, for that guidance. That's the way I use it. I don't use it as a fear mongering thing at all, like some astrologers might. Okay, so that's a major energy for you is Libra and Venus and like positivity and female, like strong females. Okay. And then you go across to your sun. Third thing you're looking at is your solar return. Maybe that should be the first thing, but that's not the way I read a solar return chart. This would be my third step when reading a solar return chart. And so look to where your sun is. So look, here's your sun. Here's Aries, and it's in the 7th, and you got a lot going on here. Okay.
Lots going on.
There's a lot going on for you. So you're going to be a fabulous Aries this year, as you always are, right? But it's going to be in the relationship house. So it's just like what I was talking about with Libra, right? Like Libra belongs in the 7th. And so your sun is there. Like you're going to shine at relationships this year. your marriage. It's not just your marital partner, but it's like your friendships. This is where you're really being called this year, is to build friendships, females.
Okay.
Your north node is there, so it's like just follow it. Just go there. You really are being guided there. Chiron's there too, and I talked to you quite a bit about Chiron, both of you. This is the asteroid I always use. He's the wounded healer. So there's wounds there, and I think you're going to heal it this year. That would be my prediction. I think there's been wounds with females and friendships, and I think that's it's going to naturally be healed this year. I would say you got your Mercury there too, so your mind is going to be really sharp, because when Mercury is in Aries, it's like fast, it's quick, it's Aries.
Okay.
Let's go, entrepreneurial. I can do this. I'm the leader. I'm fat. So like you got a lot going on in Aries. So just be the fabulous Aries you are, but with a major twist of female friendships. I will definitely say. How does that sound so far?
Yeah, I'm having these little mini like aha moments as you continue through the chart. I'm like, oh, okay. I understand. Yeah.
And so for the listeners, if you're following along and you'd like to find out, you're looking to the house placement of where the sun is. That's like the power of your sun. And so the house placement for Kat this year was in the friendship and in the partnership. Like your marriage is going to rock this year. Your friends are going to rock. And if you want a business partner, it's going to happen this year.
I was just going to say that I feel like this could bleed into a direction of career as well.
Okay, full on
and community.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is the business partner. This is your partner. This is your best partners, like your best friends, your husband, and your business partner. So like you're going to shine here. It's going to be amazing. You're going to heal a lot of wounds. It's going to be really good. But again, it's a very Libra year, full of love, full of female, strong friendship stuff. And then the fourth main thing I would say on a solar return chart is look to what is your moon this year? You know, we are ruled by the sun. We really are. That is our soul. Sun sign astrology is laughed at. I get it. It's like, what's your zodiac sign, baby? I get it that it's funny, but the sun truly is your soul. And if you can tap into that sun energy, I tell everybody, like, if you're ever feeling depressed in life, like you can't get out of bed, go to your sun. And your sun, Kat, is an Aries sun, just like mine is. And we have very strong suns. Unfortunately, Cindy's sun isn't as strong as an Aries sun. But I mean, not to say there aren't fabulous things about being an Aquarius sun sign. It's just that the sun loves being an Aries, right? Okay, so now we're going to the fourth main thing of a solar return chart for Kat and for everyone reading a solar return chart, and you go to the moon. So the moon this year for you is in Leo. So the sun belongs in Leo. You're in the moon is in the sun's house, put it that way. So it's like the queen is in the king's house this year. Yeah, the queen's in the king's house, running the ship in the king's house. And so that's all heart. That's not here. It's all, so your feelings are going to be heart led this year. And that's what I would recommend for you. You know, feelings are from the heart, but I would be all heart this year. You already are. You're all heart, but this year you have a Leo moon, so why not use it? You know what I mean? Natally, you do not. Your birth chart is not a Leo moon, but this year you are a Leo moon, so it is all about your feelings, and you'll know intuitively. Is this a yes? You'll know if it's a hell yes or a hell no. It's all from here. Like, don't go here. Of course, you're such a smart woman. I know you're going to use your brains, but like everything's going to be from here. It's going to be a very relationship-based year, and something about your biz. I would say partner up. And so this is you for the year, right? Like this is your birth chart for the year. That's what's so great about a solar return. It tells you the flavor of what your year is going to be. And so I did peek back, a great tool once you start playing around with this. You look back to the year before. What was my solar return? I know. Before, right? So I looked at
what was I doing during that hour?
I looked at yours.
You could look that up? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you look back to the year before, you were a Leo rising last year. So you were
Mm.
all heart last year, right? And it was all about your emotions. And so you were getting out of here. And then all your planets were at the top. And I was sharing both when I read both your charts personally. I talked about what it's like to have planets at the bottom or what it's like to have planets. All of your planets were up here. And it's like, here I am, world. This is me. You had a lot going on up there. Were you married last year because your husband planet was in up there? Like, did you?
Yes,
Yeah.
last June we were married.
Right. Yeah. So that was shown in your chart. Like it's all heart. It's all up here. Everyone can see it. It's a title change when all the planets are at the top, and you didn't change your name, but you went from Ms.
Yes, but
to Mrs. You know what I'm
Mrs.
saying?
Yeah.
There was a title change, there was a position change, and so it was like you were heart led last year. That's where you were being led all year. And so this year, your marriage is going to continue to rock, but also are all of your other relationships, and it
Love that.
might really spin off to a business partnership.
That's so cool.
Very exciting.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
2024 is going to be amazing. How does that
Thank you
feel?
for doing that. Yeah, it feels fantastic and it makes so much sense. I feel like last year, the minute I surrendered to leading from the heart and leading into more things like focusing on my relationships, things fell into place. And now this year coming back around, I can continue to hold on to what I learned and what I taught myself and the importance of being heart-led, and then fall back into career, which is such a passion and part of my purpose here as well. So that's what I took from your reading. Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
that.
it really resonates.
Mhm.
Wow.
And that can be hard to listen to your intuition and make decisions when maybe your brain is not agreeing with maybe what you're feeling inside. That can be hard. I mean, it's
Yeah,
hard,
I think,
but
yeah, no, and to your point, I have been very career led my entire life. And
Mhm.
if we've talked about this past, thing that hit us all here on Earth, the pandemic, and without that happening, I wouldn't have been able to disengage from that and focus on relationships, and I wouldn't be where I am, Jenny. I think I mentioned this to you, in marriage and building family and everything, if it wasn't for that. So yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it.
Okay, so Cindy, tell us, I
Oh.
read your solar return chart.
Yes,
So Kat's just summarized how yeah, it totally makes sense how it all led into the next. And did it feel that same way for you when I read your solar return?
it did. It really did. What I remember from what you told me, like all my stuff was down below. And I remember you telling me I wasn't supposed to get into any kind of arguments with anybody because it wasn't going to turn out really well for me. And I remember thinking the next day I was feeling like all sorts of bad energy. And I'm like, okay, Cindy, just need to calm down and don't get into anyone's face. So that I took away from it. But it was also the magic hour. That was so huge for me because I didn't know about that previously. So I'm curious to look at my chart from last year so I can kind of reflect on like maybe what did I do that day that I screwed up my year. But yeah, but I
wonder, what was I doing?
maybe I screwed my own self. I don't know. I'll have to check. But
Hey.
yeah, but the magic hour, that's huge. Like that's what I'm so excited for Kat, because that for me was the biggest thing. And I felt like I had some sort of power that I could make something magical happen in my life, like on purpose, like with intention. So that, I don't know, I'm just so excited for her to do that.
And yeah, and people always talk about it, right? But then you have to act on it. So to take that time to sit and I think that's the missing piece. I mean, it's clear that it's a missing piece if you don't do it, but it's funny how we often talk, but we don't act. So what would change in life if you actually, made that attempt? And Cindy, you're saying that it works if you're already feeling some of it.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I love it. And I love the summary that you both felt. And so I've read your natal charts, both of you. I've read your solar return charts, both of you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about astrology? I'm clearly obsessed. I am an astrologer. I've been doing this for years. How do you feel about it though? Is this weird, or is this like a fabulous holistic tool to understand yourself a little bit better, to sort of understand what energies you might be working with, natally as well as for the year, Does it help, do you feel, or do you think this is like weird and woo-woo? Go ahead. What do you think? You go first, Kat.
I get to go first. Okay. I mean, I've always leaned into astrology. I want to say since like, I want to say late teens, early 20s. Like it was always a little bit of a calling. So I am very familiar with it. I use it more as just like a little validation. I don't, I mean, it's so funny. I was going to say I don't plan my life around it, but when you're talking solar return, I'm like, well, I should start. I should start planning my life around it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I heavily believe in the alignment of the planets and what you can learn from that. One note, I used to read heavy my sun sign, and the minute I started reading into that rising sign, which for me is Virgo, I now do both because there's absolutely alignment in both when it comes to either YouTube readings or talking to, reading off the internet, your astrology. But so yeah, so I would highly recommend also reading your rising.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, it's very true. So if you have a whole bunch of planets where your sun is in the same house, then yeah, that's what you should be listening for. And then your
Mm.
rising sign, maybe. But if
Well,
you
and then yeah.
go ahead, if you just
Yeah.
have your sun there,
True.
it's, maybe it'll resonate a bit, but that's sort of like the joke of sun sign astrology. That's why it's sort of poo-pooed. But I mean, there is something to be said about really connecting to your sun. That is your life force energy. That is why you can get out of bed in the morning, even when life is the hardest it's ever been. It's your sun. So if you can tap into that for your life force, but when you're listening to, if you get into it, like on YouTube and stuff, yeah, I definitely listen for my rising, not my sun.
Interesting. That's so cool. Oh yeah, for mine, I think what I took away from it the most was just having more self-awareness just for myself, because you really focused on my intuition, and I've always had that my entire life, but I never really understood why. I can walk into a room and just know something's wrong, and I can just feel it. Like, and I can also feel really drawn to some people and then not to some people. And I know we've talked about this too, Jenny, is we typically draw in people who are like wounded, who need someone to care for them, because we have so much giving. We want to give and share and make people feel better. So I'm trying to learn how to make more boundaries with that. So choosing people that I really want to have myself reflected back in a positive way, not in a negative way. So that's the biggest thing I learned. So yeah.
Because Cindy has the strongest moon. She has a moon in,
Woo, and I didn't know it.
so a person with the moon in Cancer is all the feels,
Yeah.
extremely empathetic.
Yeah.
You could live your whole life on intuition. Like you could go write a test, say it's like
It's true.
say you could go
It's
write a math test or something. You haven't even studied it all. Doesn't matter. You intuitively know, like it's stuff like that your whole life.
Yeah.
Your
Like
intuition
oftentimes,
is
like
so
even like
strong.
spin, I can walk into a spin class and I know, like I can just walk into, like open the door and I know if something's wrong or not, or if
Yeah.
someone's energy is off. I know it immediately. I may not know who it's coming from, but I could easily figure it out and be like, hey, it's you.
Have you ever had a moment where you're like, I'm not turning right at this intersection, I'm going left, or
Yeah.
I'm not leaving my house for another hour?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I get a lot of that kind of intuition, like things that that I know are going to happen. Like, and usually for me, what I do is as I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, it's going to sound super weird, but as I'm brushing my teeth, if there's something happening that day, if I take a moment and be quiet in my own head and ask the question and I listen to the answer, it's always right. Whether it's not something I want to hear or not, it doesn't matter. But if I truly listen,
That's your
it's always true. It's
It is
always true.
a gift. It's a superpower. It is your gift to have
Easy.
that Cancer moon.
Yeah.
Just like Kat and I, we have very strong suns. I mean, when I say very, like the sun belongs in Leo, and that is the strongest, but it's the second happiest in Aries. It's almost happier. And the way that I would describe that is, so you have a house, but you also have a cabin, and you almost prefer the cabin. Like
Cabin,
it's almost
yeah.
better going to the cabin, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
the house is Leo. but you almost want to be at the cabin more. That's how the sun feels in Aries. So how that shows up is like, I am extremely athletic and I'm old, right? So it's like, doesn't matter. I can work out with the 20.
Don't go there because I'm older than you. So let's not, we're
And
not
it's
going.
I
like
don't believe in old.
I'm not old.
right? When you have a strong sun like I do, like I can work out with the 20-year-olds. Okay.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So it's because
I love that you own it too.
I'm so athletic, and it's because of my son, and I have so much life force energy, and it's because of my son. And you have so much intuition, and it's because of your moon. So again, like this is
Beautiful.
just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to knowing your chart and knowing the good energy you have to work
Yeah.
with your whole life and the energies that you bring. And that's what I also love about astrology, is just knowing like this comes really easy to me. There's a few things that come really easy to me in life, and it's very validated on my birth, like the Aries sun.
So in terms, I have a question. So I know, like, I think I said this to you earlier, but even like when I woke up today going out in the world, everything kind of felt funky. Like I felt weird energy. I don't know how to explain it. Is there something going on that would
cosmos. What's happening in the
Yes.
cosmos?
Yeah, what's happening? Because like what, like why am I feeling like this?
Okay, I'm going to talk about what's happening in the cosmos, and I'm also going to go back to Kat's chart because this was reminding me about the energy of your solar return chart. So what's happening in the cosmos right now is it's a new moon. It's a new moon in Pisces. Yeah, so Kat knows. So it's a new moon in Pisces weekend. Okay. And it's at 20 degrees of Pisces. So if you know your natal chart, look at where 20 degrees of Pisces is in your personal birth chart. The house placement of Pisces is the area of life that you're going to make intentions, because that's what you always do at a new moon. The new moon is when the sun and the moon are together at the exact same degree. They're together. So it makes the sky the darkest every month. And so it's like time, it's like a reset button. And it's a new lunar cycle, and it's in Pisces. Pisces is extremely compassionate, extremely forgiving, extremely spiritual, like all the feels. And there's other conjunctions with this new moon. We've got Saturn close to it and Neptune. So it's very feely. Saturn is giving it that like grounded feeling. If you can get past all the feely feels this weekend, you might be very sensitive. And it's not just like I'm talking everyone on the planet. So if people around you are being like completely sensitive, just let them off the hook, okay? Just let them. And don't be like, what's you? No, like it's just overwhelming feelings. So some people that don't deal with feelings and don't feel their feelings.
That's what I felt this morning.
Weekend.
Yeah, that's what I felt this morning, like going into spin class. That's what I felt. It felt like there was tons of conversations happening, even though no one's really talking, but it felt like there was just a lot going on around me, and I couldn't put a finger on why that was happening. Like it just felt weird.
People that don't want to feel their feelings get angry.
Yes.
And you might see a lot of angry people this weekend, and okay, and let them be, and just get the hell out of their way. Like seriously. But if you're willing to feel your feelings and you're acknowledging that you're feeling your feelings, Saturn's right beside this new moon, saying, hey, if you work through these, whatever you're going through, and if you actually go through it, Saturn always wants you to do the hard work, wants you to do the right thing, make the right decision, but Saturn will always gift you after doing the work. So if you can do the work this weekend and walk through the whatever's going through low level Pisces. So I've just said how wonderful Pisces is, and it's a beautiful energy. But the shadow expression of Pisces is they are the addicts of society. So if you have an addiction that is coming up, or hey, addictions can be anything, right? We're not just talking substance. Spin.
Guilty.
You might need a break.
It's the feeling you get from it, though. That's what is addicting. Like that feeling just feels so good.
That is the shadow. That is shadow. And so people that aren't feeling their feelings are going to numb themselves this weekend. So just putting that out there, right? So that's what's happening currently in the skies. When you're dealing with a new moon, you write intentions because it's a new lunar cycle. So you set intentions, you write them on paper, and you say that you're going to, my intention with this new moon energy is blah, blah, blah. And you might need to forgive yourself. You might need to forgive someone else or whatever, and like write it out.
Oh
Because
yes.
it's so Pisces.
Can you remind Kat on what she's supposed to do with that magic hour? Because remember you said there's certain things you're supposed to like write out, and like the way that you word them, wasn't it? I am going to, yeah, I am. Yeah, that's what it is.
So us Aries people are really good at I am energy.
You'd see me not so much.
Good at that your whole life, right, Kat?
Yes.
Aries people are I ams. I am doing this. Like we are really good at I am energy. So yeah, when you're doing your manifestation, I am statements, and it's like it's done, you know. It's not like say you want to get a raise at work, you know, it's not like I am hopeful that the raise will come through. No, like I am the recipient of, you know, like happening.
Yeah, you
period.
Use it for
I also wanted to say about your solar return chart. I'm kind of leaving this till the end, but
oh, I thought I was out free.
you thought it was all peaches and rainbows. No.
Great year ahead.
Super. Okay, guess what? It's in eclipse season.
Okay.
It is eclipse season. So there's a full moon just a few days after. So your birthday is the 21st. And the full moon eclipse, it's the first eclipse of the year, and it's on the 25th. So it's right there. It is eclipse center. We're already feeling it, by the way. This new moon in Pisces happening this weekend. It's not an eclipse, but it's like, it's introducing us to eclipse season. So we're already feeling crazy feels, and people are angry and people are numbing themselves because eclipse season is coming. And it's almost like, you know, what's his face in the office? That's, oh, they're coming. You know how he gets panicky? Like that's so like an eclipse season.
So how would you describe an eclipse? Like, because you hear people talking about, you know, it must be an eclipse, or the eclipse is coming. How would you describe that to somebody that doesn't know what that energy means? Like, is it like pulling a rug from under your feet? Is it just like a tumble,
and it
snowballing?
Doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't have to be negative, by the way, right? It's like shocking. It's like it puts you on another timeline. That is the best way to describe eclipse energy. Like you're walking along in your life and you're doing the best you can, and there's nothing wrong with you, and you don't need to be fixed. But the universe says, well, that's lovely and everything, but we're going to put you over here on this timeline because your soul contract said you came to Earth to do something else, and you're just refusing to go there. And so it's like, it's not like this, but it is like, okay, next. So, and that can be
helping you out.
By the way, that can be anything. Sure, it can be something like something gets eclipsed out. Literally, something gets eclipsed out. Could be a relationship. Could be a job. You know, like people lose their jobs at eclipses, like left, right, center. So I'm not saying anyone's getting fired here, and I'm not saying your husbands are leaving you. I'm not saying that, but it's so typical. It's like when you look back, like when I was going through that, when that happened, oh, it was eclipse season. So I'm not saying this to scare you, but it is eclipse equals timeline jump. So
jumps,
the timeline jump might be really easy. It might be just like put on different shoes and walk on the next path, the path that you weren't on. And it's fine because it was similar to this timeline. Am I talking woo-woo, or do you totally know what I mean by timelines?
I completely understand. Yeah.
You get timelines? Yeah. Because we're constantly on a different timeline. And that can be like whether you choose husband A, husband B, if you choose this at school, if you choose the job, it's fine. It doesn't matter what timeline you choose when you're young and stupid and you make all the wrong decisions. It doesn't matter, right? Because the universe is always going to put you on the right path. Maybe path works better for it. I use the word timeline. I know it's woo-woo, but I totally believe in that. And that's what eclipses do for all of us. They put you on a new timeline. And so if it feels like, oh, okay, not too bad, and I was already thinking that, and it's like, well, it's because you were probably already veering onto a timeline that was what your soul wants to do, right? So that's what eclipse season is. And so your solar return is right in eclipse season. So the year might feel a little like, oh, okay, now I'm doing this. Like, oh,
I already feel it, to be honest. And I think I've mentally and heart space prepared myself, or have been trying to prepare myself for it, because I think, Jenny, we had spoke about this too, where I feel like the life I was in is behind me and the life that I'm about to get into, or timeline, is ahead of me. And I'm kind of floating in the middle, where right now I'm about to step into that new timeline, as you would say. So yes, I completely feel it already before
It's happening.
the
And so
day.
that's going to be the flavor of your whole year. The other thing is you were born with this energy, so it might not feel that jarring to you, but it's at the equinox. So you're already born like at that. So this is the astrological new year, is the equinox. You're born right there. So like January 1st really isn't like, it doesn't.
I honestly celebrate the new year March 21st, because
It is.
there's a
That's
lot of
the
new
new
year to
year.
it, birthday, equinox, like
That
you
is
said.
the new
Like,
year for everyone, not just you being born right there, but like it is the new year. So that's when you set, like whatever resolution or whatever you want to do. That's the actual new year. So you've got that
what are you
energy.
doing for New Year's, everybody?
Yeah, no
we,
doubt.
we should get together and celebrate.
We really
Amen.
should.
I'm
Well,
in.
that's so cool. And like how you mentioned the timelines, I that resonates with me so much, because when we had our first podcast, and I remember I was feeling all sorts of ways, but all I knew is I had to go, I had to show up. I was being pulled so hard to show up at Jenny's house to like do the thing. And I was like petrified of it. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? But it was so worth it. It felt like everything was coming in line with what I was being drawn into, like for my whole life, like things were just sort of feeling right. So
That's
thank you.
That's it's so validating. Again, like you don't
Yeah.
need astrology, you don't need numerology, you don't need human design. But the more you look into things like this, it's just kind of like, yeah, that's exactly how I was
It
feeling.
makes
That's what happened.
it makes things make sense.
That's
Especially
the
for
energy I get from you, Cindy, to be honest, because we haven't been in the same spin room for a while, but we just speak through social media, and I get that energy where things just make sense, like from you. Like almost this opening. That's the energy I get. Like literally an opening too.
That's 100%. And I just got like goosebumps when you said that, because that's where I'm at. Like that's what's happened for me. Like it's like my mind's been open and now I see things differently and I can't go back. Like this is who I am now. So
you can't go back, and it's beautiful.
World.
That's the butterfly effect.
Oh yeah, the butterfly. Yes, that's right.
So fun. We could talk all day, couldn't we? But we don't want to take up all your time, Kat. We do have one question that we would love to ask at the end. And Cindy, take it away. You know the question that we want to ask.
I do. So we wanted to ask, because our podcast itself, we are called the Brave Girls. So that's kind of the name that we chose. But I think being brave means something different to everybody. So in terms of for you, what does being brave, what does a brave girl mean to you in your life?
It's very not interesting, but it very much aligns to what I spoke about in spin class today. We're recording this on International Women's Day, and the first song that I used was called Brave. And I actually want to pull it up because I want to make sure I say it right. If that's okay. So I'm just getting my note here. So here's to being brave enough to show up for ourselves, not just in this room, but every day. Here's to being brave enough to challenge what society expects us to be and be who we really are, which, Cindy, I feel like you've been able to tap into. And then here's to being brave enough to love in a world that needs more of it, not just others, but ourselves. So I think I think for me, it's always been, I don't know if it's in my chart, but everybody always has gone one way. And since I was little, I was the one that went the other way. And the more I did it, I knew that it came from who I really am. And the more I did it, the easier it was to do it the second time. And I think being brave is being able to honestly listen to who you are and what you need, and don't get distracted by where the world puts us. So I hope that kind of answers.
No, that's so true. Because being brave really means something. It resonates differently with everybody, so you never know how it feels. I know for me, it's just doing things that are hard. So that kind of links into what you said. So it's anything that I find is super hard or really, really scary. And if I make that choice to do it anyways, that's what brave means to me. I mean, it means
Yeah.
a lot of things to me too, but
Yeah.
that's kind of the high level part of doing hard things, like believing that you can do it. That's to me being brave, you know?
Yeah. And trusting your path to carry on with that, even if it looks different than others.
Yes.
And to be able to show people that if they listen to, you know, the truth in their path, that they're going to be okay. Maybe
Yeah.
even better.
Yeah. Being true to yourself, that can be a very brave thing. And Jenny, what does it mean to you?
Love what you both said. The authenticity component for me is being brave, being honest, just being honest, you know, like even if the honesty hurts, is going to hurt me, it's going to hurt someone else.
Yeah.
The authentic component, and then making decisions to keep that authentic timeline going.
I love it. I love that. Okay. I love it.
Wow, well, that was fun. Solar return chart for Kat. Thank you for letting us use you as the guinea pig.
Oh my goodness. No, the minute you said asked, I was like, yep. I hadn't even thought about it. So I went with my heart, you know. Yeah. But yes, no, thank you. It's a pleasure catching up with you both. And I think it's really special what you're creating here on the podcast.
Yay.
Thank you. Okay, until next time, brave girls. Next time. Thank you.